Everyone in the camp thought it was just a prank, until the officer hit the ground and silence swallowed the base. No one laughed after that. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The sun scorched the training field like a punishment from above. Dust rose from every boot, every shouted command echoing through the air. It was week 6 of endurance training at Fort Laken, and Private Amelia Hart had learned one thing. Respect wasn't given here. It was taken. She was the only woman in her platoon. The only one still standing after half the recruits had already quit. Her uniform was soaked with sweat, but her gaze stayed sharp, always forward, never down. Then came Captain Reese. He was the kind of man who believed authority was a weapon, not a duty. Every recruit feared him, not for his rank, but for his temper, sharp, unpredictable, cruel. And for some reason, Amelia had caught his attention. That morning, when she beat the time record in the obstacle run, Reese's jaw had tightened. He didn't praise her. He didn't even speak. He just watched her, the kind of look that says you shouldn't have done that. Later that afternoon, the platoon gathered near the mess hall. The air smelled of metal and mud. Reese walked out with a steel bucket in his hand, filled with murky water from the training pit. The recruits fell silent. "Private Hart," he barked. Front and center. Amelia stepped forward. Her pulse thudded in her ears. "You think you're special because you can run faster than the men?" he sneered. "No, sir," she said evenly. He circled her, the bucket swinging casually from his hand. "Then maybe you need a reminder that this is a man's world." Before anyone could move, before she could even blink, he lifted the bucket and dumped the contents over her head. Cold, stinking water drenched her from head to toe. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone whispered her name. Others looked away. The water ran into her eyes, down her collar, soaking her uniform. But Amelia didn't flinch. She stood frozen, trembling not from the cold, but from something deeper. Humiliation, rage, and silence. The kind that hums in the bones before something breaks. Reese smirked. "Dismissed," he said, turning his back. But that was his mistake. Amelia's voice came out calm, almost too calm. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" He stopped, turned. Denied. She stepped closer anyway. Her boots crunched in the dirt. The other recruits shifted uneasily. "I said permission to speak freely." His eyes darkened. "Hart, you're done. You'll be out of this camp by dawn." He didn't finish. Because the next moment, his words were replaced by the sound of his own body hitting the ground. Amelia had moved faster than anyone saw. One twist, one strike, clean, controlled, professional. He was on his back, staring up at the sky, stunned. The bucket rolled away, clattering against a post. The recruits froze. Then chaos. Murmurs. Shouts. Someone ran to call the medic. But no one, not one person, stepped between her and the man who'd tried to break her. The commander arrived minutes later. Colonel Abrams, a man who'd served long before Reese wore his first badge. His gaze was steel, but not cruel. What happened here? No one spoke. The platoon avoided eye contact. Only Amelia stood tall. "I defended myself, sir," she said. "Against your commanding officer?" Abrams asked. "Against humiliation. Against disrespect. Against someone who forgot what leadership means." The colonel studied her for a long, unbearable moment. The only sound was the wind pushing through the trees. Then, slowly, he turned toward Reese, who was sitting up now, holding his jaw, still dazed. "Captain," the colonel said quietly, "you're relieved of duty." Effective immediately, the camp went silent again, not from fear, but from awe. That night, word spread like wildfire. Some whispered that she was reckless. Others said she was brave. But no one denied one thing. She had changed something in that camp. For the first time, recruits looked her in the eye not as a novelty, but as one of their own. The next morning, Amelia stood by the flagpole, watching the sunrise paint the horizon gold. Her hands trembled slightly as she tied her boots. The adrenaline had faded. All that remained was doubt. Had she gone too far? Then, from behind her, a quiet voice spoke. "Private Hart." It was Colonel Abrams. He handed her a sealed envelope. "Orders came through this morning. You're being reassigned." Her heart sank. "Am I being discharged?" He smiled faintly. "No. Promoted." Amelia blinked. "Promoted? You're joining the special training unit at Ridgepoint. They need someone who understands that strength isn't about dominance. It's about dignity." For the first time since she arrived at Fort Laken, Amelia felt her throat tighten, not from anger, but from emotion. She saluted. "Thank you, sir." "Don't thank me," Abrams said. "Earn it again." As she walked away, the platoon gathered to watch her go. Some clapped quietly. Others nodded in silent respect. Even those who had once mocked her stood straighter. She didn't look back, but she felt it, that shift in the air, that sense that something old had cracked and something new was beginning. Weeks later, she would lead her first team through an impossible mission, a rescue in the mountains where even Reese's old unit had failed. And when her squad returned alive, mud-streaked but triumphant, she would finally understand what Abrams meant. Leadership wasn't about shouting louder or standing taller. It was about standing right, even when it cost you everything. Months passed. One evening, she received a letter. No rank, no seal, just her name. Inside was a single line written in rough, familiar handwriting. You were right. No signature. But she didn't need one. Amelia folded the letter carefully, placed it inside her journal, and closed it. Because forgiveness, she realized, wasn't weakness. It was another kind of strength, one she had yet to master. And so the legend of Private Amelia Hart spread, not as the soldier who fought back, but as the one who stood up. Because courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it stands soaked in mud, holding its ground while the world watches. Because respect isn't demanded, it's earned, one act of integrity at a time. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And somewhere, beneath the same sun that once burned her skin, Amelia smiled, remembering the day she refused to bow her head. If you felt something in this story, tell me in the comments what part hit you most. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories of courage, redemption, and truth. Your voice keeps this channel alive.